In the heart of Minneapolis, a city already familiar with tensions between law enforcement and its diverse communities, a fatal shooting has once again thrust the city into the national spotlight. This time, the incident involved an ICE agent and Renee Nicole Good, a local resident whose life was cut short in a confrontation that has since become a flashpoint for debate and outrage across the country. The shooting, which took place on a quiet street, quickly escalated from a local tragedy to a national controversy as details began to emerge and emotions ran high. According to the ICE agent, the shooting was an act of self-defense, claiming that Good attacked first. However, this official account has been met with deep skepticism and anger from activists, community members, and local leaders. They argue that the narrative fails to address the broader context of aggressive immigration enforcement and the fear it creates. Demands for transparency, accountability, and an independent investigation have grown louder, with many questioning whether justice will truly be served. In the days following the shooting, Minneapolis streets filled with candlelight vigils and passionate protests. Renee Nicole Good's name has become a powerful symbol, chanted by crowds demanding an end to what they see as unchecked ICE violence. The movement has quickly spread beyond the city, sparking demonstrations in cities across the nation. For many, Good's death is not just a personal tragedy, but a rallying cry for systemic change. Critics of ICE argue that this tragedy is the latest example of the dangers posed by aggressive federal immigration tactics. They point to a pattern of fear and mistrust that has taken root in immigrant communities, where encounters with law enforcement can quickly turn deadly. The shooting has reignited debates about the role of ICE, the militarization of immigration enforcement, and the urgent need for reform. The political response has been swift and intense. Lawmakers, especially Democrats, have seized on the moment to call for new limits on federal immigration authority. Proposals for increased oversight, restrictions on ICE operations, and greater protections for vulnerable communities are now at the center of heated debates in state legislatures and on Capitol Hill. The incident has become a rallying point for those seeking to redefine the balance of power between local and federal authorities. What began as a single tragic encounter on a Minneapolis street has now ignited a nationwide political battle. The issues at stake, civil rights, law enforcement accountability, and the limits of federal power, are being fiercely contested in courtrooms, legislative chambers, and on the streets. The outcome of this struggle could reshape the future of immigration enforcement and the relationship between communities and those sworn to protect them. As the city of Minneapolis and the nation watch and wait, the consequences of this moment are only beginning to unfold. The story of Renee Nicole Good is far from over, and its impact will be felt for years to come. The Minneapolis shooting intensified long-standing tensions over ICE's presence in American communities. Years of raids and deportations have left immigrant families fearful and distrustful of authorities. Protests in cities like Los Angeles reflect a demand for policies that prioritize community trust over aggressive enforcement. Stories of ICE arrests at schools and hospitals have deepened anxiety, making people less likely to seek help or report crimes. The shooting confirmed critics' fears about the risks of federal operations in neighborhoods, uniting local resistance into a national movement. The debate has shifted from isolated incidents to a fundamental challenge of ICE's role in society. In the wake of mounting federal actions that many see as overreaching, New York Democrats, under the leadership of Governor Kathy Hochul, are mounting a bold legislative counteroffensive. Their goal is clear: to assert the state's autonomy and protect its residents from what they view as federal encroachment. This new wave of legislation is not just a political statement, it's a comprehensive effort to reshape the balance of power between state and federal authorities, and to ensure that New Yorkers' rights are not trampled in the process. One of the most significant proposals would empower individuals to take legal action against federal agents in state courts if they believe their constitutional rights have been violated. This move directly challenges the long-standing doctrine of qualified immunity, which has often shielded federal officers from accountability. By opening the doors of state courts to these cases, New York aims to give its residents a powerful new tool to seek justice and hold federal authorities accountable for their actions. Another key bill targets the activities of federal immigration enforcement. It would require Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, to obtain a judicial warrant before entering sensitive locations such as schools, hospitals, and places of worship. This measure is designed to prevent the chilling effect that aggressive enforcement can have on immigrant communities, ensuring that families feel safe accessing essential services without fear of sudden raids or detentions. These legislative efforts are rooted in a desire to protect the most vulnerable members of society, immigrants, children, and those seeking medical care. By reinforcing the sanctity of public spaces and institutions, lawmakers hope to restore trust and foster a sense of security for all New Yorkers, regardless of their background or immigration status. New York's approach is multifaceted, combining legal reforms with visible demonstrations of resistance. By creating both legal and physical barriers to federal overreach, the state is sending a strong message: it will not stand by while its residents' rights are threatened. This marks the beginning of a new era in which states may increasingly push back against federal policies they see as unjust or harmful. Ultimately, New York is asserting its responsibility to safeguard the rights, dignity, and well-being of everyone who calls the state home. Through these legislative actions, the state is not only defending its own values, but also setting an example for others across the nation who seek to protect their communities from federal overreach. New Jersey is moving decisively towards sanctuary state status with a trio of new bills. The legislation would bar local police from aiding ICE raids, ban stops based solely on immigration status, and block sharing of private data with ICE without a warrant. These steps aim to preserve trust between law enforcement and communities, prevent discriminatory policing, and protect personal privacy. Together, they form a robust framework of non-cooperation with federal immigration enforcement. If enacted, New Jersey would become a national leader in resisting the federal immigration agenda. On the West Coast, California and Oregon are ramping up their own resistance. California is drafting laws to stop ICE arrests at courthouses and prevent local police from being deputized for immigration enforcement. The goal: keep courts and local policing focused on community safety, not federal immigration. Oregon plans to let residents sue federal agents in state court for Fourth Amendment violations, mirroring New York's approach. These states are using legislation to limit ICE's reach and hold federal agents accountable. Their coordinated efforts set a precedent for state-led challenges to federal immigration policy. Supporters say these laws are about protecting civil rights and public safety for all, regardless of immigration status. They argue that requiring warrants and banning police cooperation with ICE builds trust, encouraging victims and witnesses to come forward. Lawsuits against federal agents are seen as a necessary check on misconduct and a way to ensure accountability. Advocates believe aggressive enforcement tears families apart and undermines community stability. By safeguarding sensitive spaces and private data, lawmakers hope to foster inclusion and security. For supporters, these bills are about upholding constitutional values and the social fabric of diverse communities. Republican leaders and federal officials fiercely oppose these state measures, calling them unconstitutional and dangerous. They argue that immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility and that state resistance obstructs the law. Critics warn that sanctuary policies make it harder to detain dangerous individuals and force ICE to conduct riskier operations in communities. They claim these laws create a patchwork of rules that encourage illegal immigration and undermine public safety. The opposition insists that only strong, uniform enforcement can maintain the integrity of the nation's borders. Sanctuary is an informal term for jurisdictions that limit cooperation with ICE, but policies vary widely. Some simply bar police from asking about immigration status. Others, like New Jersey, create comprehensive firewalls against federal enforcement. Sanctuary policies don't stop ICE from operating, but they deny access to local resources, making enforcement harder. These measures don't shield people from prosecution for crimes. Local laws still apply. Supporters see sanctuary policies as fostering safety and inclusion. Opponents argue they provide cover for lawbreaking. The debate over the term itself reflects the deep ideological divide at the heart of the immigration conflict. This legislative clash is about more than policy. It's a battle over federalism, civil rights, and the very soul of the nation's identity. At stake is the delicate balance between state and federal power, a tension that has shaped American democracy since its founding. As lawmakers gather in chambers across the country, they are not just debating bills. They are wrestling with fundamental questions about who gets to decide the rules that govern our lives, and whose voices are heard in the process. The outcome of these debates will ripple through every corner of society, shaping daily life for millions of Americans. It will determine how communities interact with law enforcement, how families access essential services, and how neighbors relate to one another. For many, these laws are not abstract. They are deeply personal, affecting whether they feel safe in their neighborhoods, whether they trust their local institutions, and whether they believe in the promise of equal treatment under the law. In states passing these new laws, immigrant communities may experience a sense of relief, with less fear of local authorities and a greater willingness to participate in civic life. Yet, this shift can also bring new challenges, as federal agencies may step up enforcement efforts, leading to uncertainty and anxiety. The patchwork of state policies creates a landscape where the experience of immigrants can vary dramatically, depending on where they live, fueling both hope and apprehension. The fight over immigration policy has become a symbol of America's deep polarization, with states forging their own paths in the absence of a unified national consensus. In some places, passionate protests erupt outside Capitol buildings, while inside, lawmakers face intense pressure from constituents on both sides of the issue. The divide is not just political, it's cultural, generational, and deeply rooted in competing visions of what it means to be American. Until comprehensive reform arrives from Washington, the country remains fractured, with state legislatures serving as the front lines in the ongoing struggle over immigration's future. Each vote, each protest, and each new law adds another layer to the complex tapestry of American identity, highlighting both the promise and the peril of a system where states can chart their own course. The question remains, will America ultimately be defined by a unified federal approach, or by a mosaic of states each asserting their own vision of justice, inclusion, and belonging? As the nation stands at this crossroads, the choices made today will echo for generations, shaping not only the laws on the books, but the very character of the country itself.